The Pittsburgh Steelers head coaching search has entered a defining phase, and the inclusion of Mike McCarthy as a serious candidate only underscores how significant and far-reaching this decision will be for one of the NFL's most tradition-rich franchises. McCarthy is scheduled to interview on Wednesday for the Steelers' vacant head coaching position, and according to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, he is widely viewed inside league circles as a strong candidate. That designation matters, because Pittsburgh is not a franchise that conducts interviews lightly or as mere formalities. When the Steelers bring in a candidate with McCarthy's resume, background, and local ties, it signals genuine interest and a willingness to consider a meaningful shift in organizational philosophy. At 62 years old, McCarthy arrives at this moment with a career that spans decades of NFL evolution. He spent the 2025 season away from coaching after being fired by the Dallas Cowboys following the 2024 campaign, a decision that surprised some around the league given Dallas' consistent regular season success under his leadership. Rather than rushing back into another job immediately, McCarthy opted to take a year off, a move that allowed him to reset mentally, study the modern game, and reassess what he wants from the next chapter of his career. That pause may ultimately work in his favor, positioning him as a refreshed and motivated candidate rather than one simply bouncing from one sideline to another. McCarthy's time with the Cowboys was, statistically, a success. Over 5 seasons in Dallas, he compiled a 49-35 regular season record, led the team to 3 playoff appearances, and captured 2 NFC East titles. Under his leadership, the Cowboys became one of the NFL's most consistent regular season teams, particularly on offense. While playoff disappointment ultimately defined the narrative of his tenure in Dallas, the overall body of work reflected stability, competitiveness, and the ability to manage a high-profile roster under intense media scrutiny. Before Dallas, McCarthy's legacy was cemented in Green Bay, where he served as head coach of the Packers for 13 seasons. From 2006 through 2018, McCarthy posted an impressive 125-77-2 record and guided Green Bay to the playoffs 9 times. His Packers teams won 8 division titles and were perennial contenders in the NFC. The pinnacle of that era came with a victory in Super Bowl 45, when Green Bay defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers on the sport's biggest stage. That championship not only solidified McCarthy's standing as a Super Bowl-winning head coach, but also created a unique historical connection between him and the Steelers organization. One of McCarthy's most defining strengths throughout his career has been his work with quarterbacks. In Green Bay, he oversaw the development of Aaron Rodgers from a talented but relatively unproven starter into one of the most dominant quarterbacks in NFL history. Rodgers went on to win 4 MVP awards, and his early growth as a player and leader was deeply influenced by McCarthy's offensive system and trust in his quarterback's intelligence and creativity. Their partnership helped redefine modern quarterback play, emphasizing pre-snap reads, quick decision-making, and adaptability. Later in Dallas, McCarthy once again demonstrated his ability to elevate quarterback play. Under his guidance, Dak Prescott delivered the best season of his career in 2023, finishing second in MVP voting while leading one of the league's most explosive offenses. That season silenced many critics who had questioned whether McCarthy's offensive approach had become outdated. Instead, it reinforced the idea that he remains capable of evolving with the game and tailoring his system to the strengths of his personnel. For the Steelers, this quarterback-centric expertise could not come at a more critical time. With Mike Tomlin stepping down and uncertainty surrounding Aaron Rodgers' future in Pittsburgh, the franchise finds itself at a crossroads offensively. Whether Rodgers returns, retires, or moves on, Pittsburgh will need a head coach capable of either maximizing a veteran quarterback or developing the next long-term solution. McCarthy's track record suggests he can do both, a trait that few available candidates can claim with similar credibility. There is also the emotional and cultural element of McCarthy's candidacy. A Pittsburgh native, he understands the city's football obsession, its blue-collar identity, and the expectations that come with wearing black and gold. The Steelers have long prioritized continuity, loyalty, and cultural alignment, often favoring candidates who fit the organization's values as much as their resumes. McCarthy's roots in the region, combined with his extensive NFL experience, may resonate deeply with ownership and fans alike. If hired, McCarthy would represent a significant philosophical shift for the franchise. The Steelers' last three head coaches, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin, were all defensive-minded leaders. That lineage shaped Pittsburgh's identity for decades, emphasizing toughness, physicality, and defense-first football. McCarthy, by contrast, is an offensive-minded coach in an era where scoring, spacing, and quarterback play increasingly define success. His hiring would signal a willingness by the Steelers to adapt to the modern NFL while still leaning on proven leadership. The vacancy itself came after Mike Tomlin stepped down following the 2025 season, ending a remarkable 19-year tenure. Tomlin leaves behind one of the most consistent resumes in league history, a Super Bowl championship in the 2008 season, a career winning percentage well above .600, and the rare distinction of never having a losing season. Under Tomlin, the Steelers finished .500 or better every single year, a level of consistency unmatched in modern professional sports. Yet despite that sustained success, postseason frustrations have mounted. The Steelers' wild-card loss at home to the Houston Texans extended the franchise's playoff losing streak to 7 games, with the last postseason victory coming in January 2017. Even after winning the AFC North for the first time since 2020, the inability to translate regular season success into playoff wins fueled the sense that change was inevitable. In that context, McCarthy's postseason resume stands out. He has 11 career playoff wins as a head coach, a total exceeded by only 2 active coaches, Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, with 28, and Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, with 13. That experience matters to a Steelers franchise desperate to break its January drought and re-establish itself as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Of course, McCarthy is not the only name under consideration. Pittsburgh is also interviewing Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores, whose recent work has revitalized Minnesota's defense and reshaped perceptions of his head coaching potential. Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver is also scheduled for an in-person interview, highlighting that the Steelers are conducting a thorough, wide-ranging search rather than locking in on one direction too quickly. Ultimately, the decision facing Art Rooney II and the Steelers' leadership is about more than just wins and losses. It is about identity, evolution, and the next era of Steelers football. Do they lean on experience, offensive expertise, and a Super Bowl-winning coach with deep Pittsburgh roots? Or do they invest in a younger voice who could grow with the franchise over the next decade? As the interview process unfolds, Mike McCarthy's candidacy looms large. His experience, quarterback development history, playoff success, and cultural fit make him one of the most compelling options in a search that will define the Steelers for years to come. Whether he ultimately becomes the next head coach or not, his presence in the conversation reflects just how pivotal this moment is for one of the NFL's most storied franchises. Comment if you think Mike McCarthy is a good option for the Steelers. Thanks for watching and see you soon.